Let him fly coach. Hey, I'm Jerry Springer.
I'm Gene Galvin.
And we're the Elevator Comics. We perform in some of the best elevators in the country, telling eye-watering jokes in as few as 2 floors. But we once entertained a car full of conventioneers stuck on the 14th floor for 40 minutes.
Call your favorite hotel and tell them that you want the Elevator Comics on your next ride. We're the hottest new act in the laughing world.
I seen Springer and Galvin in a hotel elevator in Jackson, Mississippi, and they was hilarious. Best 2-floor ride of my life.
Hey, Jerry, what were you saying to that guy in the lobby?
He was telling me he just bought the best hearing aid money can buy. I said, yeah, what kind is it? He said 4 o'clock.
The Elevator Comics were fast, topical, and usually family-friendly. But when the sun goes down, so do we. Our sizzling adult set starts nightly at 9.
The Elevator Comics. You'll never take the stairs again.
Guy says to me the other day on one of the rides, ballroom, please. I said, sorry, I didn't know I was crowding you. Okay, 6th floor, folks. Enjoy your stay and call the front desk if you need extra towels. Watch your step getting off. We forgot to pay the insurance bill.
Elevator Comics are brought to you by Up and Down Productions.
Welcome to Tales, Tunes, and Tomfoolery starring Jerry Springer, along with Gene Galvin and me. I'm Megan Hills. We're recorded live in front of a brilliant studio audience at the Folk School Coffee Parlor in Ludlow, Kentucky.
My daddy
Welcome
came
him back,
home
ladies and gentlemen, Mr.
every
Jerry
day.
Springer.
You know, I was this week doing the tour of the Price is Right. I do the national tour, and we go to theaters and casinos around the country. And I tried the, now that I'm officially an elevator comic.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, Gene, it doesn't work alone.
It doesn't.
Yeah. No, because I kept waiting for someone in the elevator to ask me about the guy with the hearing aid.
Yeah.
I was going up and down for like 3 hours. Finally, I got off. I had to go to the bathroom.
The reality is it's blowing up.
Oh.
I'm getting calls.
From hotels all around the country.
All over the country.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
And it made me think of something.
Well, that's rare.
And this part is dead serious. Well, no pun on using the word dead, but my uncle, 93-year-old uncle. Now, this is true. You know this because I told you this.
Now I feel badly.
My Uncle Joe.
Yeah.
And I love this guy. I was very close to my Uncle Joe. And he was truly part of the greatest generation.
Sure.
Age 17. Megan, I swear this is not
I swear
a
to God,
joke.
okay.
Listen, my cousins would kill me if they're listening because I'm not making fun of this.
Okay.
Age 17, my uncle goes into the Marine Corps, had to badger his immigrant parents to sign. He was underage. He fought all in the South Pacific. But Saipan, went up Iwo Jima Hill, blah, blah, blah. To me, he was a hero.
Sure.
And then I had a great life with this guy for our entire life. He was my mom's brother. He raised 4 wonderful daughters. And when he died, and I was around in the closing period, along obviously with his kids, and they said at the end, would you do the eulogy? And I said, I gulped, and of course I wanted to. I would be honored to do it. I thought, I can't get through this.
Right.
And I told him, I said, yes, I'll do it. I don't know if I can get through it. And they said, please do it because none of us can. Can you do this? And I did it, and it was very, very hard. Cried multiple times through it.
Yeah.
Sat down the printed speech, did it from the heart, and it felt really good when I was done. And then people told me that that it was very good. And then I got some distance between that event and a thought of a business plan. And the business idea is a company called Eulogies Are Us.
No.
Megan, you did in college,
You
Megan.
turn into a...
Well,
Right.
spawned the
And
business
so
idea.
why am I getting blamed for something?
Wait a minute. You're in on it, Squeeze. In college, you did singing telegrams.
I did.
You paid for part of your college doing that.
I did. Yep.
You're a public speaker. You're a public speaker. I'm kind of a public speaker.
Yeah.
I propose we put together a company, Eulogies Are Us, and we can be hired to do the eulogy for your loved one. Do we have to know them? Not particularly. I mean, we'll just say we did, and you give us some talking points, and we'll put together
I'm
a
going to need you to
eulogy.
stop.
So
Just
you'll
stop.
and you'll do some, he'll do some. So you heard the Elevator Comics commercial at the top of the show.
You're putting together a commercial?
Right behind it, there's one for Eulogies Are Us.
Oh, we're going to get a lot of calls.
Because look at the companies we
Yeah.
have put on the map. The Ludlow City Bus.
City bus.
Yeah.
It's down this week.
Yeah.
It's not
down.
running this week.
But
By the way, it's here for John from New York City.
yeah.
So John
he
came through.
actually came from New York City.
He's passing through the city
And
and
decided
he came
to come
the
here.
show. And he tried to catch the Ludlow City bus. And
And
he's
it-
all on me about
and it
"Well,
turns
where's
out-
the bus? I waited at the bus stop and I said, dude, they had a wheel problem. They have to order
It
the
doesn't run
wheel.
on days that
from another
are in
country.
months.
So Eulogies Are Us.
Yeah, I've got a
Away we go.
commercial. I'll
Yeah.
be scripting it and we'll record
Yeah.
that
What do the
next week.
financials look like for that?
Oh,
channel?
they look good.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just a lot of any business.
Well, we should
Megan,
have
has
some
risks. It's a gas.
We
a
should have
calculated
some.
risk.
We could have some sample eulogies to give people an idea.
Oh, my
Like
gosh.
write. No, I just thought of it. Do not write my eulogy.
Actually,
I'm on
I
the
wouldn't mind a
eulogy.
crack at that myself.
I'm writing your
No.
eulogy.
I will
And
financially.
we're going to tell the truth. My
true.
uncle's death made Bonnie and me think, should we
We
buy a
actually
plot?
bought it. We went with Katie. We sat there. We did.
Really?
Yeah,
you end up
we
picking
actually
one? I know
did.
you
It's in Evanston. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
A bench that we can, Megan and I can come
There'll be-
sit on.
there'll-
and
there are
the
tree-
sun sets
There
behind.
are trees and a bench, and my headstone says, "I won't be right back."
I think that's really cute if you're
was a
planning on
setup.
doing that.
It was just a setup.
No, actually, it's the headstone's a joke, but the rest of, we actually did buy one. And once you leave, then no one's talking. You know, it's like we drove back, and it was like the car was silent, and said, "How do we cheer up this day?" Yeah, why do we?
We will use cremation because we're green. We don't need it. You're going to take up some space and dig a big hole and blah, blah, blah.
After all my contributions to society, you can't give me 6 feet? 6 feet of dirt?
Throw mine,
Excuse me.
throw mine on the backpack trail out at East Fork State Park outside of Cincinnati. I don't know. Megan,
If you
I'm not
do
there
that,
yet.
if I'm still around, and if you do that, I would like some of the ashes and put it in one of my cigars.
there you go. I like that.
All these years, and I'll smoke you.
I like that.
What is wrong with you two? I can't.
Speaking of eulogies, God bless the University of Kentucky
Oh,
basketball
Yes.
that's so mean, Gene.
and my Xavier University's basketball team
Yeah.
because we both lost in the Elite Eight of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
UK one
Good
hurt.
runs for both of us, but the difference is Xavier hardly made it into the tournament and then
Yeah.
made this great run.
I'd say-
UK expects to win everything, and
Every
they were all
year.
pissed off that they got knocked out in the Elite Eight.
It's
Truth be
obnoxious.
told,
Yeah, it's
by
not
2
good enough for
points.
UK.
Yeah, I know, it's not good.
It's real good for Xavier. It's adorable.
See,
Actually, I picked him. I did really well in my bracket because of them until the UK lost.
I love the tournament. It's not like I'm this huge basketball fan, but I really get excited when the tournament comes. And not for the bracket, but just the idea that it's one and out. And these college kids, you could have a great team all year, and it's just, you missed the final shot. You know, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you're worse than the other guy. You just missed that shot. And it's so exciting.
that's so true.
Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to ask you something, Jerry. I was thinking the other day, something made me think of a time that you spoke, gave a great talk, very serious talk, and it was a political talk, at the Clinton Library, Little Rock, Arkansas, University of Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken, is where that's located. And I was the entourage of one, as I often do in these political things, so I'm
Just
down there.
people.
And Jerry, and remember Mike Ford, God rest his
Yeah.
soul, always would ask me how you did.
Yeah.
He wouldn't ask you.
Yeah. No.
How do you do, Gene? And
Yeah,
what
he
needs to be
always-
cleaned up? And
Yeah.
anyway, the talk ended, and the guys that were running the Clinton Library. So this is the foundation. Well, it's the Clinton Library. It may be different from the foundation. And they said, we're going to go out to dinner.
Oh, right. We went.
That's fine, you know, and they're going to lead the way. And Megan, they took us to this place in the inner city of Little Rock, Arkansas, called Doe's Eat Place. DOE', Eat Place.
Okay.
We get there, and it's, this funky little divey-looking place, and we walked in the door. You remember this, Jerry? And there were red and white check tablecloths.
Yeah.
And people sitting there eating, and we started to move to a table, and they said, no, we're not going there. And they took us in the back room to the kitchen.
Right, he said.
And what was in that?
There was a long table in the kitchen, and that is the kitchen where Bill Clinton,
George Stephanopoulos?
Hamilton Jordan,
Paul Begala?
Paul Begala, the whole...
Nightly,
They would
eat around that same picnic table.
Yeah.
Wasn't that amazing?
It wasn't the stories they told, which we can't repeat here, but are great.
Yeah, that
But it was a really down-home
That's
place.
really neat.
Yeah, it was very
What
cool.
did you have? Do you
Yeah.
remember?
Oh, it was a ribs place.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and what they did, like right there, you could
Arkansas,
almost
we
reach
are
out,
the-
was were the ovens and
Yeah.
the stoves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were cooking for the people out in the restaurant.
And they brought me the ribs, and the ribs are pork. And I said, just quietly, I
and
said,
they did
I don't
beef
eat
ribs,
pork. They
they
said, hey, boy, why you not eating pork? I
That's
said,
right.
well, I'm Jewish. I had a whisper. I'm Jewish. What?
We
Why
got
come?
one.
Hey, Elmer, what's that?
Yeah, then I think they got some beef ribs, or maybe they knew to do that from the beginning. But that was.
But they kept staring at me the rest of the time.
yeah.
I knew you were Jerry Springer, but I didn't.
They'd look at my nose.
Hey, look at your nose.
That was very cool.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
Hey, these podcasts are largely heard on archive versions, so they're not, unless you're hearing live. And by the way, apologies. We're having some trouble with the live feed, the stream. Facebook Live is up. Wave to the camera, Jerry and Megan. But the live stream at jerryspringer.com, we had some trouble getting it started. I'm not sure if they got it going yet. So if it eventually comes on, or if you missed the first part and now it is up. But in the archive, so this is timely, but TRUMPCARE died
Yeah.
a few days ago. Well, who would have thought that would be the reaction?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this crowd, that's weird.
Yeah, there's a eulogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, there you go.
And I got a plot for it.
What was your take on all of that?
Well, when you say, I thought about it just at the second, when you said TRUMPCARE died, so did the Trump presidency. I think it's over. I'm not saying he's going to be impeached. That's a separate issue, and he's not going to be impeached unless the Russian investigation comes up with, a major crime. Otherwise, with the Republican Congress, he's not going to be impeached. So my view is, let's get off of that. If something major happens, then the whole country will be for it, and it won't be a problem. But so I think he survives the 4 years. But the presidency is over, and because we now see, and the whole country, even those people that supported him, the emperor has no clothes. Mm-hmm. We see that there's nothing there. Now, when I say the Trump presidency is dead, it's finished. He's finished as he's just a figurehead now. They're going to send him out to speak at a rally. But no serious person in the administration or out is going to be going to him for advice on how to get a piece of legislation passed or what, it's just not going to happen anymore. And think about how this came about. We all knew, even people who supported Trump, they would agree, they're not going to argue with it, that he's a braggart, that he's rude, that he lies, that he's a narcissist. He's oftentimes childlike. My hands are bigger than yours. I mean, just all this really, junior high school humor. And we kind of also knew, by the way, that he didn't know much about policy. I mean, that was always, even when you watch these cable shows and they always have a Republican consultant up there, as they should, and they're always saying, well, no, he's not a policy wonk, that's not his thing, etc. So we all knew that. And yet, a whole bunch of people decided to still vote for him because the one argument you always got is that he's a man's man. He's not going to be pushed around. He's strong. He's going to get things done. He can close the deal. None of this mamby-pamby politician stuff. He says it like it is, and he gets it done because he can close a deal. And now, last Friday, that all fell apart. Because very clearly, he was so outclassed, so humiliated, he could not close the deal. And he could not close the deal because he knew nothing about the bill that he was supposed to be promoting. And that's not me trying to be a wise guy here. He really didn't know anything about it. And, you know, Lyndon Johnson was probably the best at this about, you know, you bring him into the White House, into the Oval Office, and twisting arms. But the difference was with Lyndon Johnson, when he brought you into the Oval Office and twisted arms to get a civil rights bill through, or whatever it was he was trying to get through, you knew that there was nothing about that piece of legislation that Lyndon Johnson didn't know. The problem Trump ran into, even when he brought them all in, is these congressmen, we may not like what some of them say or believe, but most of them are pretty well versed. I mean, if that's your job every day, after a while, you become pretty well versed in legislation. So every congressman he talked to, every arm he tried to twist, the person whose arm that was knew more about the issue than Trump did. And so he had nothing to say. The meetings, I can't wait till the books come out about those meetings. Because it's probably all these cliches. Hey, we got to get this done, man. You got to stand with me. Yeah, we got to show them. We promised, whatever. And yet, there was no reason, no congressperson is going to turn their back, his or her back, on the constituency before another election comes up just to have Trump save face. They feel no loyalty towards Trump. Trump was an outsider who came to the party and said, I want to be president. I've never been a president before. Can I be president? So they don't, you know, there's no connection. And it was so obvious in all these interviews. And now, when push came to shove, he had, talking about how weak he is and why his presidency is over. He had a Republican Congress, a Republican Senate, a Republican White House, a Republican Secretary of Health and Human Services. He had everything on his side. Every single speech he gave since the day he came down that escalator has been, day one, repeal and replace Obamacare. And you could see when he said Obamacare, the smirk on his face, the almost drooling his hatred of that, because it was a great political, you know, bone to throw to the base. We're going to get rid of Obamacare. He couldn't even deliver on the number one promise, along with the wall, which he's not able to deliver to because he found out Mexico's not going to pay for it, and the block on immigration, which he's not able to do either because the courts have stopped him. In other words, in fairness, this is a totally failed presidency. And your first 2 months are supposed to be the honeymoon, where whatever your major piece of legislation is, everybody gives you the benefit of the doubt. He's just been elected president. Let him get through his signature piece of legislation. And virtually, Democrat or Republican, every president gets to do that. And he couldn't even get that done. So, he's weak. But it wasn't just his weakness that caused the bill to fail. It was also because, once again, he lied to his constituency. He said, and frankly, those of us who are left of center, we kind of liked, that was the one thing I liked about Trump. I said, well, if he gets in, he was the one going around saying, I promise you no one's going to die on the streets. It's going to be health insurance for everybody. And yet, because he didn't even know what was in the bill, he was pushing a bill which would take about 24 million people over the next decade off of health insurance and raise the premium so high that poor people would just have to, middle-income people would have to just drop out. So he was doing all the things he promised people he wasn't going to do. The middle class, the working class, the rural areas who need it the most. So he turned his back on them, and I don't even know if he did it on purpose. He didn't know what was in the bill. His presidency is over. Let me end with some more good news. The name of this company that we put together, to do the podcast, we had to incorporate just for legal reasons, whatever. It's called Liberals Always Win. That's the name of our company. And truthfully, for this last year, there have been a lot of smirks about, oh yeah, liberals always win. What happened in November?
Like when I go to the bank to deposit checks.
Yeah, that's always it's always a lot of fun.
I put
Yes.
that on the
They
deposit
all
slip.
say liberals always win, and you see the bank teller. Bah.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
that's great.
And by the way, even in the election, 3 million more people voted for Hillary,
That's
so
true.
liberals do
They really
always
do.
win.
Yeah.
But here's the point about liberals always winning, and why this is an easy call for me. Every decade in American history, certainly since the Second World War, let's go since the First World War. Every decade, America becomes more liberal than the decade before. Every issue, in the beginning, the conservatives were fighting Social Security. Oh, that'll be communism. And now if you take Social Security away from someone, boom. In the beginning, conservatives fought against civil rights. And, we obviously made progress, including an African-American president. And we've made progress in civil rights. We're not there yet. I get it. But clearly, the liberals won on that. Women's rights, gay rights, working people's rights, the fact that there is a minimum wage, the fact that they are laws against child labor. Everything liberals have pushed for in the last 75 years starts out conservatives against it, and the liberals are the wackos that are having these demonstrations. And in the end, it becomes mainstream. Gay rights. Can you believe 10 years ago if someone would have told you that you could have gay marriage in America? There wasn't a politician who would touch it. And now it's the law of the land, and the Republicans are afraid to go there, most of them, because woof. So, liberals always win. And here's the best news about what happened last week. You can now rest on this. There'll be battles. But the idea that Americans should have health insurance, that it is a right, is now part of our DNA. The lesson we just got, that every Republican understands that ever held a town hall meeting. You can be conservative, you can be Republican, but don't dare take away people's health insurance. That really touched a nerve. And now it'll be just like Social Security. If you're a Republican running for office, you don't dare say we're going to do away with Social Security. You don't dare say you're going to do away with Medicare for the senior citizens. And we've reached the point now where you can't even say you're going to take away people's health insurance. That is the victory, the best thing about the demise of the Trump presidency.
Good one, Jerry. As we asked the Queen City Silver Stars to come up into place, we're going to tell you about them. Let me just mention Megan and Jerry.
Yeah, Gene.
Tonight is our 2-year podcast anniversary.
Really?
Yes.
Oh. For our next anniversary, let's have the cameras working.
Yeah. Oh. That really, I can't believe it's been 2 years. That
Yeah,
really
2
is
years.
crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Very cool, yeah. Yeah.
And we haven't changed at all.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
the poor man's.
Hits keep coming, ladies.
It's the same guy wherever I go. It was the same thing this weekend.
Yeah,
And by the way, I told that same story,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
right.
Shocking.
Shocking, yeah. The older.
What was that conversation all about?
Well, he's just the sweetest man. And he says, Jerry, and he's kind of shaking and he's holding my arm. Look, I got a new hearing aid. It's the finest hearing aid money can buy. I said, yeah? What kind is it? He said, 4 o'clock.
Nope.
Okay,
If you
so,
keep laughing, he'll
We
keep
just
telling
ran that on the
joke.
commercial. Why would you ask me to do it again?
Members, and I'm looking at a steel drum. That's very cool, kind of
Yeah.
a Caribbean folk music
Yeah.
thing, and kind of like Mumford and Sons, where there's this mix of instruments. Banjo, which is an old school Appalachian instrument, well, at least in terms of folk music and bluegrass, and a bass and a drummer. This is cool. Do us a song, and then we'll talk on the other side.
All right. Out amongst the stars, way out past that fallen tree, edge of the sand, you took my hand, didn't know where to put your feet. Out amongst the stars, baby, it's just you and me. We had our plans back on the mainland. Say hello to say la vie. Oh, now, and I've been living. You've been giving all my good life. Out amongst the stars, yeah, way out past that fallen tree, edge of the sand, you took my hand, didn't know where to put your feet. Oh, oh, out amongst the stars, baby, it's just you and me. We had our plans back on the mainland. Say hello, say la vie. Oh, now, and I've been living, edge of a movie scene. You've been giving my good lines to me.
Queen City Silver Stars, Caribbean folk music, I guess you would call it.
Pretty
And-
much. Yeah.
And they're, so we have Mark and Chris and Nick and Matt, and Mark Becknell is sort of the spokesman for the group, I think, and the front man for it.
Yep.
And you guys are performing here at the Folk School Coffee Parlor on April 29th, correct?
We are. We're doing this. Well, funny you were talking about the banjo earlier.
Yeah.
Banjo is actually an instrument. I mean, came from Africa, spread through the Caribbean, came to the United States. So when I got into this style of music, I looked at a lot of old folk music, and there was this Jamaican folk style called mento, which actually had a banjo in it, and a guitar, and some light percussion and stuff like that. So I kind of got into that, and I talked to Casey, and we're going to do kind of like a folk music of the Caribbean show. So a lot of like
That's
mento
awesome.
and calypso, like kind of really laid back, just like you're hanging out on the beach, listening to some
perfect.
dudes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
We should have taken you to Cuba
Cuba,
instead of
yeah.
Casey.
Yeah. We need to talk about that, I think. Yeah.
He just went off, Jerry.
He's still
you
just
could-
jealous. You're just,
Couldn't hear that, but Casey retaliated with, well, the feed just went off.
yeah,
Hey,
Jerry's just mad that Casey had
Do a second song for us, would you guys?
All right, we'll do.
Here we go, the Queen City Silver Stars.
You once told me that I should write a book, the one who's misunderstood. You should name them after me. Put you in the role of the heroine, saves the poor wretch again, mysteriously leaves. Don't sit there all quiet like you don't know the meaning of your name. Sing your song for me, Cordelia. You know I've always played your fool, and I couldn't love you anymore. All those doubts and your little flaws, Cordelia, when are you gonna? Up on the mast on my ship on your open sea. I'm not looking for property, just a place to land. Take to my maps to check my geography. The only place left for me suddenly just left. But I serve up my own sorrow, like I don't know the meaning of your name. Sing your song for me, Cordelia. You know I've always played your fool, and I couldn't love you anymore. Know those doubts and your little flaws. Cordelia, when are you gonna come home? Oh my, I couldn't love you anymore. Oh my, I couldn't love you anymore. Oh now, oh yeah, I couldn't love you anymore.
That's the Queen City Silver Stars. If you're anywhere near Cincinnati on April 29th, come by the Folk School Coffee Parlor on Elm Street in downtown Ludlow, Kentucky, and you can hear them. Would you guys take us out on Down by the Riverside, and can Jerry join in on the second verse?
Yeah, I think we can make that
There
happen.
we go.
I'm gonna lay down my heavy load now, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. I said, down by the riverside. I said, down by the riverside. I'm gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside. Down by the riverside. I ain't gonna study war no more. 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 Ain't gonna study war no more. Y'all come back now, you hear?
Thank you, everybody, for coming.
You got a little red on that one, Jerry.
Oh, yeah. I'm
You were in it.
yeah.
Next week, everybody, next week.
Whoop, whoop.